Thank you, Mark, and a big hello from London. So, with a couple of weeks of hefty weekly technical patterns across all the markets I cover, plus quite a few interesting actions on the monthly charts as well, I thought last week might be a little quieter as we settled down for the new year. Not so. We have a number of interesting technical actions across many markets. So here goes. In the currencies, we had weekly key reversals down last week in Aussie dollar against the US dollar, Aussie dollar against the Japanese yen, and in the Kiwi dollar against the US dollar. This last one was a compound weekly key reversal down, where a weekly key reversal down sees in the following week an even larger weekly key reversal down. However, so far this week there has not been any follow-on lower moves in any of these so far. We also saw weekly key reversals up last week in US dollar Norwegian krona, US dollar South African rand, US dollar Israeli shekel, US dollar Polish zloty, and US dollar Taiwanese dollar. In these also, none have seen a follow higher in this case, though we are still within last week's range right now on all of them. We also saw a weekly key reversal down last week in the cryptocurrency Ethereum. This did see a dramatic follow-on lower right at the start of this week on the Monday, which on its own was also a daily key reversal down. But prices have recovered since then, though we are still below last Sunday night's close. Perhaps what was more interesting is that we had weekly key reversals down last week in both the NASDAQ Composite and the NASDAQ 100 index. The second such pattern seen here in each of them within the last 4 weeks. Plus, we also had a weekly key reversal down in the E-mini S&P futures and the Dow Jones index. All these had the beginnings of a follow-on lower on Monday this week, but have since pulled back a bit, though both the NASDAQ Composite and the NASDAQ 100 are still lower than Friday's close. On to commodities, and there were quite a few last week, and I'll start this section with energy, as we had a weekly key reversal up last week in the Brent gas oil spread. This has so far seen an excellent follow-on higher this week with a gapping open higher since filled in, though prices are seemingly hesitating right now at these higher levels. Now on to London white sugar futures, and here we saw a weekly key reversal down last week, with this week a very dramatic move lower, down to lows not seen since January 2022. Moving now to the metals, and we had weekly key reversals up last week in both LME 3-month aluminium and in 3-month lead prices. This week there has hardly been any attempt higher in aluminium, and lead looks like an even poorer performer, though we are still within last week's range here. Meanwhile, CME lithium futures had a weekly key reversal down last week, if only just. This week CME lithium futures have been a nothing so far. Finally, LME scrap steel Turkey saw a weekly key reversal down last week, and this week has seen an active reactionary move back up, such that prices are now above last week's range. I'd next like to look at ICE UK feed wheat futures, and here we saw a weekly key reversal up last week. This week we have seen a good start higher, but then a slowing such that we are higher than last week's range, though prices are seemingly now moving higher with no great sense of alacrity. Finally, on the commodities, we had some weekly technical patterns in shipping, with a weekly key reversal down in the Baltic Panamax index, the second within 5 weeks, which has seen a suitable follow-on lower this week, down to levels not seen since July 2023, and then only briefly, so really down to lows not seen since February 2023. Whilst at the same time we had a weekly key reversal up last week in the Baltic Clean Tanker Index, which has seen this week a more than suitable move higher. Now this follows on from the monthly key reversal up we saw here in November last year. Finally, for those who follow stock memes out there, especially the disappearing world of TikTok users, well, there was a weekly key reversal down last week in AMC stock of the US, which has seen a more than suitable follow-on lower this week. I almost forgot. One more for you, and that was a weekly key reversal up in Chicago soybean futures, which has seen a really nice follow-on higher this week. As always, I'm happy to answer any direct questions with anyone who's interested. And with that, I'll finish this section from London. I hope that you found these comments useful.
Thank you for listening and watching this broadcast. This weekly broadcast gives the essential market patterns and consequences. Please be aware of the risk disclaimer posted both at the front and at the back of this broadcast. The copyright is Eddie Tofpik and ADM Investor Service International Limited. And here comes the final important bit.